Hello everybody and welcome to episode 7 of Supersymmetry. I also hope you like the intro for today's episode. Something a little bit different. The plan for today's episode is to set up ore processing. That's sort of the main agenda for today. But to do so there's quite a lot of prep work which I need. I still need to decide where I'm actually going to place the ore processing room. I expanded this bit just so that I had more space, since I'm going to need a few more machines in order to be able to set up ore processing. So yeah, I guess let's start with that. So the first machine which I need to pick up is this cutting machine. Yeah, that cutting machine wasn't too bad to set up. Just a new section of the base which I added. I built that for the intro. This cutting machine also requires some form of drilling fluid for it to run. In my case, I'm going to just be using water for this because it's the cheapest. For the stuff which is required for the cutting machine, I need to go to the beneath and collect the miner, which was from the last episode. Yeah, the miner has finished. That's a lot of ores. Oh, look at all of the magnetite and olivine. Chalcocite, so that's going to be loads of copper from this, and graphite. Oh, I also thought I'd better let you know that to keep this miner running, I had to fill up the battery buffer about 4 times. I had to take all of the batteries out when they were depleted and then recharge them, which isn't terrible, but I'd definitely like these to be a little bit more flexible for things like that. Yeah, it ended up lasting, I think, a few hours with all of these completely full. Anyway, let's do some packaging tape on these crates. And among all of the ores which were produced from that miner, I'm interested in this olivine. And since I have just so many machines that I need to prepare, I'm going to put all of this into a time lapse of making the machines and building the area for this. I have still yet to decide where I'm going to actually build things. So yeah, I've got all of the time to think while I prepare all of the materials required and machines for the ore processing line. Oh, that's not getting hit by a shotgun one again. Believe me, the mobs in this are just, especially the bandits, they're scary. Oh my goodness. That was so much building. Yeah. This is the entire room for the ore processing, which I've set up. It's a few machines. I quite like the look of the design of this room. It's the similar design to what I used in season 1, except that I never actually got to use the design properly. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. These lamps, by the way, are from Tech Guns. These are lantern yellows. You can only make them once you have access to the Nether. I took a quick trip to the Nether to actually obtain the glowstone for these. But they do complete the design for here. I love this. And as you saw in the time lapse, this is also the storage room for where all of the final products from ore processing will be. But enough talk of all of the building. I still need to set all of the filters for these machines. And this is all of the piping underneath, by the way. This is quite chaotic, but it should work. It should work completely fine. So let's start off with, this is going to be the gem processing line here. So it's macerator, ore washer, sifting, ore washing again, and then cutting, so that I can cut the gems into their regular gem counterparts. And the 2 input lines are on this side. The one on the left is going to be ore processing. The one on the right is going to be regular ore processing. Ore processing? The one on the left is going to be gem processing. The one on the right is going to be regular ore processing. So any ores which I place inside this one should be taken out. That will send it through this steam grinder. Now the output of this can't actually go anywhere, so I need to add the output for this ore washer. And it took me a long time to figure out how to do this in the test world. Because of the space, I basically wanted these machines to input and output on the same item pipe, so that I could have them basically stacked vertically and not, especially for these ore washers, have a block gap in the middle. So I'm quite happy that this actually works in a test world at least. So I get to use it here. So let's start off with the input line. And these are also ore dictionary filters. So I do need to set the ore dictionary myself. This will only allow items which match a given ore dictionary. So in this case, I need to type crushed with the asterisk key, and the asterisk key acts as a wildcard for anything which comes downstream from that text will count to the ore dictionary. I can actually use this to test it, so this will only allow anything with the ore dictionary crushed to go through this item filter. But that's not what I want, because crushed purified is another variant of crushed. This will also allow that to come through here. And to set that up, I need to do the and symbol and an exclamation mark for and not. Then if I do crushed purified coal is now not allowed, only crushed is allowed. So that's very important for this filter to work. So I can now connect this up and coal will come in here. This is coming from the macerator. Now I need to set up the logic for these. So item auto output needs to be enabled in both of these for this to work. Then for these filters, it's very important for the insert to be set with the same ore dictionary as the input line for this. So this insertion will only allow in crushed ore. It won't allow crushed purified. And it won't allow anything else which doesn't match this filter. And I also get to use this little feature. If you click on any machine with a screwdriver, it will allow input from output side. I have the output set to the same side as this filter. Yes, very important for this. So that's how I actually import items into these 2 machines. And to output their output, all I need to do is add the ore dictionary for one of these, which is crushed purified with the wildcard. And then I do the and symbol and then do dust with a wildcard. That should not allow, never mind, it's not an and symbol, it's an or symbol, which is the bar, apparently is what it's called. I also looked that up. So that should allow any of the dusts which come out of this and crushed purify to end up in this steel crate. And I can test it. It should not allow crushed to end up going in here. That should always end up going inside these ore washing plants. Now I just need to do this 3 more times for all of these so that I can filter everything properly, and then this entire processing chain will be done. I also forgot to mention, the only exception for this is this last filter, because some of the gems I do actually want to keep the flawless and exquisite variants of them. So for this one, I want to only filter specific gems to be processed into their regular variant. For instance, this one is going to have flawless coal and exquisite coal to be processed in this one. Well, I'm happy to see that all of the items are actually ending up in this output chest, which I set up. One little side note, the way I've built this is a priority system. So the way that I'm actually extracting the correct type of materials from these lines means that if any of, well, let's say if the cutting machine, which cuts the flawless and exquisite coal into regular coal, fills up and it doesn't have anywhere to store the flawless or exquisite, they'll end up in here, basically. So it shouldn't happen. I have to sign this in a way where that shouldn't be possible, because I've added buffers and machines are going to be basically a 1-to-1 conversion, roughly. So fingers crossed it doesn't get clogged. Only time will tell when I start queuing up loads of ores to go through here. And this second line is going to be set up similar to the first line, except this one won't actually handle gems. This one will only handle processing items directly into dusts. And a lot of these filters I can copy over from the gem processing line, which will make my life a little bit easier. The absolute last thing to do now for this is add some item pipes to head towards the storage drawers which I have. Oh yeah, this ore processing is brilliant. Look at all of these. I've started collecting quite a few actually. All of these dusts. These have come from, well, from ore processing. Yeah, setting up all of these is going to help so much moving forward, and having the coal. I'm currently using this coal in the coke oven, and this coal dust is going to be used in the pyrolyze oven coming up in the future too. So yeah, I can safely say that I love this room. It's very decorative and it's just so good. After building the ore processing, I'm going to take care of a couple of things. A couple of quality of life things, I suppose is what they are. And preparing for loads more processing chains as per Supersymmetry. So the first thing I'm going to make is going to be this tool belt. The gold I've obtained from this electromagnetic separator. If you don't know, there is a recipe for which one is it? Obtaining gold dust plus gold nuggets if you electromagnetically separate purified piles of magnetite. So you can actually obtain gold without having to build some of the gold processing chains which are there, like using raw electrum to produce gold. By the looks of it, this tool belt would actually be unobtainable if it weren't for that electromagnetic separation recipe. Yeah, this tool belt, lovely little thing. This is a bobble slot. This can go in belt slot. At the moment, it's currently empty. I can insert things inside this tool belt though. This is going to be good. So at the moment, using the keybind, I can actually bring up this GUI, which allows me to swap between tools. Like the drill, if I need the wrench, I can just swap. Oh, that's going to be so nice. That's such a small little thing, this tool belt, but it's going to make building things and setting up machines a whole lot more convenient for me. And speaking of machines, I need to take a trip to the Nether to collect a specific type of ore. The ore in question, and I apologize for my pronunciation, is called rhodochrosite. I think that's how you pronounce it. This ore contains manganese, which is required for the low voltage superconductors, which is what I'm going to be going for. Super. Now I just need to wait a little bit for this miner to finish mining, and then I will have loads of that rhodochrosite ore. You know what? While I'm waiting for that miner to finish, I'm going to build this rhodochrosite processing chain. Yeah, believe it or not, it's actually only 4 machines technically, including the smokestacks. Oh, they fit perfectly here. I made 2 of them smokestacks because I was unsure if I was actually going to need them. I don't think I will for this. Yeah, this manganese chain honestly isn't too bad. I'm starting off with this first steam roaster. This will get a conveyor so that I can import from this drawer. The drawer is going to be filled with the rhodochrosite. I previously mined just a little bit of this just so that I could actually get this machine running. And this produces the manganese 2 oxide plus carbon dioxide as a byproduct. So I'm going to use a pump to get the CO2 out of here. This is also another use for me to use these quadruple fluid pipes. Yeah, so this is full of CO2, so I just need to add this going into this smokestack to get rid of it. I figured out that there is a way to actually void things, and that is through this smokestack, for only certain types of fluids can go in here. 2 of which being CO2, which is produced by this first recipe, and carbon monoxide, or CO, as the second thing, which is going to be produced by the second steam roaster. Yep, just voids it. Sends it into the atmosphere. Lovely for the environment, but yeah, what can I do? It's just going to get rid of the fluids. This is the way that Supersymmetry actually allow you to void certain types of fluids. You're not really technically voiding it. You're just releasing it into the atmosphere or releasing it into the drinking water. All joking aside, it does actually void them. And this second one, I'm going to filter 8 manganese 2 oxide dust to be imported, along with 8 carbon dust, and they will be allowed to import from this drawer above. And lastly, I just need to place a drawer down here, use this conveyor, place a conveyor on the steam roaster for the output, and just send these item pipes into this drawer. And supply carbon to this drawer on the top of this roaster. This will now produce the manganese dust. Make sure that is actually in this drawer. And that is how the manganese chain works. Yeah, actually quite a simple chain to make. Yeah, that's actually not too bad. For manganese, this is as easy as the silver chain, which I made actually a few episodes ago now. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. The manganese, I'm going to need a fair amount of this for the LV superconductors. I still need to produce phosphorus, but I think I'm going to save that for next episode. Because the phosphorus chain is... Well, let's just put it this way. It's a bit more advanced than producing the manganese today. Well, this seems like a good enough place to wrap up the episode. I do apologize for how long it's taken for me to actually make this episode. I got ill last week as the time of uploading this, and it basically prevented me from actually being able to record. I literally could not get out of bed. It was awful. So I'm glad to actually get back and build the ore processing as well as the manganese. Still got a little bit to do before glorious aluminium production, so stay tuned. Well, as always, I hope you all have thoroughly enjoyed today as much as I've enjoyed playing, and I hope to see you all again in the next one.